Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mother's Nature's podcast. This episode is called Safeguarding Prevented, when a mother is responsible but powerless. This episode is about safeguarding and what happens when a mother is legally responsible for her child but prevented from protecting them. This is not an attack on individuals. It is an investigation into structure. It is an examination of how authority operates in family court and what that means for maternal responsibility, safeguarding and structure. In family court, safeguarding is often framed as risk management rather than a forensic determination of historical truth. The court is primarily concerned with future welfare, what may happen, rather than proving past events beyond doubt. That distinction matters. When safeguarding becomes about risk protection rather than truth finding, concerns can be interpreted differently from how they are experienced by a parent. The double bind. Mothers are expected to raise concerns, but when they do, those concerns can be reframed as evidence against them. If a mother believes her child is at risk but follows court orders, she may be accused of failing to protect. If she refuses contact, she may be accused of obstruction. If she persists, she may be described as hostile or unable to move forward. This creates an impossible position. Whichever path a mother takes can be interpreted as proof of wrongdoing. After removal, once residence changes or removal occurs, safeguarding no longer belongs to the mother in a practical sense. Contact becomes conditional. Supervised visits may be framed as opportunities to earn trust. Insight is demanded, often meaning acceptance of the court's narrative, even if the mother experiences it as incorrect. Compliance becomes the currency. Contact is often reduced, not restored. The mother remains responsible in theory, but powerless in reality. Public assumptions. There is also a wider public assumption at play. Most people assume that a mother, particularly a primary attachment figure, holds both responsibility and authority, safeguarding her own child. In everyday life, responsibility and authority sit together. In contested proceedings, they can separate. Responsibility may remain biological, psychological and moral. Authority can transfer entirely. That gap between responsibility and power is rarely discussed publicly. Attachment and psychology. Attachment does not switch off because legal authority shifts. A mother's protective instincts are not administrative functions. They are biological responses shaped by years of daily caregiving. When safeguarding authority transfers away from a primary carer, the psychological impact can be profound. The mother may still feel responsible, but without any legal mechanism to act. That is not simply loss of contact. It is the inversion of a protective role. The structural question. Family court decisions are made at a fixed point in time. Timeline and interpretation. There are moments in contested proceedings where timeline and interpretation diverge. On one occasion, my daughter had stayed overnight with her father. He took her to school the next morning. I did not see her before school that day. I first saw her when I collected her at the end of the afternoon. Teachers told me she had experienced a problem earlier in the day. Later, I became aware that school staff had noted redness and soreness. From my perspective, I had not been present that morning. I had not dropped her off. I had not seen her before school. My first observation of concern was when I picked her up. In high conflict proceedings, however, once a credibility narrative begins to form, events can be interpreted through that emerging framework. The question becomes not simply what happened, but how the event fits within the court's developing assessment of risk and reliability. Timeline, perception, and judicial narrative do not always align in the way a parent expects. They are based on evidence presented within legal frameworks, but the psychological consequences unfold across years, sometimes decades. There is no natural measurement of how often mothers experience this separation of responsibility and authority. There is no published data on the long-term psychological impact of safeguarding being legally removed from a primary carer. The system measures orders. It does not measure the internal cost of powerlessness. In closing, when a mother is told she remains responsible for her child's welfare, but is prevented from exercising that responsibility, something fundamental shifts. Safeguarding becomes something done to her, not by her. This is not about individual blame. It is about structure. And until we are willing to examine how authority and responsibility can separate inside a family justice, we cannot fully understand what safeguarding means in practice. Thank you for listening. It's very important. Can you please, 3 things, okay, like, share and subscribe. Remembered them, the 3 things. Yeah, I am really starting to dig deep into my investigation, and what it's throwing up is incredible. So I'll leave it there with you for this podcast, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.